All right, some breaking news coming in. As per officials, DNA sampling of 162 victims have matched with their family members. Meanwhile, 120 bodies have been handed over to the next of kin, is what we are learning at this point in time. Jatin, my colleague, is joining us on the broadcast to give us more details about this. Jatin, this is an exemplary feat. All those relatives who were in fact looking for their loved ones for their last rites will have some sort of a closure after this.
जी देखिए, बिल्कुल जिस तरह से डीएनए प्रक्रिया है उसको झड़पी जो है वो बनाया गया है, उसी की वजह से अभी तक जो है कुल 162 जो है वो डीएनए टेस्टिंग जो है वो डीएनए जो है वो अभी तक जो है वो मैच हो चुके हैं। तकरीबन 122 जितने जो मृतदेह है वो उनके परिवारजनों को जो है दे दिए गए हैं। तकरीबन 13 जितने परिवार जो है वो अभी भी यहाँ पर जो है उनको यहाँ पर बुला लिया गया है और अभी वो अपने परिजन का मुद्दे लेने के लिए यहाँ पर वो वेटिंग में जो है वो बैठे हुए हैं। लगातार जिस तरह से जो डीएनए जो मैच जिस तरह से होते जा रहे हैं उसी तरह से उनके मृतकों के परिवारजनों को जो है यहाँ पर अहमदाबाद सिविल अस्पताल में जो है बुलाकर जो है उनको उनके परिवार का मुद्दे जो है पूरे एस्कॉर्ट और पूरे सम्मान के साथ यहाँ से जो है वो दे दिया जा रहा है।
जी शुक्रिया। More breaking news coming in. Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Ismail Baqei on Tuesday stated that the group of G7 leaders' joint statement on the ongoing Israel-Iran conflict has revealingly disregarded Israel's blatant aggression and the unlawful attacks on the peaceful nuclear infrastructure, as well as indiscriminate targeting of residential areas and killing of Iranian citizens. Anand, my colleague, is with us on the broadcast to give us more details about this. All right, well, we'll move on. Israeli Defense Minister has claimed that Israel is on the verge of destroying 10 more nuclear targets in Tehran. Reportedly, in fact, the Quds said Israel's Air Force will wage more very significant attacks in Tehran today against targets of the regime and its infrastructure. All right, well, it's been 5 days since an open conflict broke out between Israel and Iran, and it is showing no signs of slowing down. The conflict has forced Donald Trump to cut short his visit to Canada for the G7 summit, and he has denied ceasefire being the reason for that decision. Israel has claimed to eliminate another senior Iranian military commander, al-Shadmami, who was Iran's wartime chief of staff. Iran, in response, claims to have struck the Mossad headquarters and has launched over 400 ballistic missiles towards Tel Aviv. The G7 leaders have affirmed that Israel has a right to defend itself, and Iran claims this statement favors Israel. With missiles raining, jets flying, and aggressive statements continuing, where does this war head in the next 24 hours is the big question. Let's first understand Israel's perspective as well. Joining us on the program is Ambassador Prabhu Dayal, former diplomat. Aharon Levarko, Israeli journalist who served in the Israeli Defense Force for 9 years, is joining us as well. He's joining us from Netanya, Israel. Dr. S.K. Datta, acclaimed international conservative expert, is also with us on the program to talk more about this. All right. Aharon, I'll come to you first. Thank you for taking up the time and speaking with us. Well, we are in India and we are trying to understand how intense this conflict is, Aharon. But from whatever we learn is that it's a full-out war between these two nations. Israel, of course, preempts that all that nuclear infrastructure that Iran has created is predominantly and primarily being done or being developed to target Israel and annihilate Israel. Is that the reason why Israel has waged this war?
Absolutely, positively, yes. For years, they have been threatening Israel to annihilate us. Whether it's using nuclear weapons or whatever weapons they have, we take their threats very seriously. We did the same with Saddam Hussein from Iraq. We did the same with Syria, Assad, and we're doing the same with the Ayatollahs and what they started in 1978-79 with the Islamic Revolution, the call to take over the West, to pull down the West, to destroy the West. And we can see in many, many countries in the West that are actually being taken over. So in a preemptive strike, and you mentioned the war started 5 years ago. Actually, this war has been going on for years. It's called a shadow war, where there have been operatives from the Iranians in the guise, in the face of Hamas, Hezbollah, all of their different proxies. They started on October the 7th. It didn't start 5 days ago. The Iranians have been sitting in the shadows while their proxies, who they have been funding, have been doing the dirty work. And so the issue of the nuclear issue is why Israel made a preemptive strike, which is what's called counter-terrorism. We are seeing what's coming our way, and we're not going to wait until that happens. And so we struck hard, and we're continuing to do it, and we won't stop until that threat is gone.
All right. Dr. S.K. Datta, what do you make of what's going on at this point in time? And is it a possibility that this war is going to take a turn for the worse in the days to come?
I guess so, and I really don't want that to happen. God forbid that there is no further escalation. My condolences with the innocent people and civilians who have been killed in Israel as well as in Iran because of this devastating war. And I do understand that there are many permutation combination which has led to this war. The nuclear arsenal issue is a major issue, no doubt about that. Funding and indirect and tacit support of Hamas by Iran has aggravated the situation all the more, and I think this is one primary reason why there was a very big pitched battle in Palestine between Israel and Palestine, and also in Jordan and in Syria, and of course in Yemen, because most of the terrorist outfits which were fighting against the nation of Israel or the state of Israel, they clandestinely have support from the Iranian establishment, and it is known to the global world. And I guess this is one very reason why this has happened. But what I do understand is, like, if there is further instability in Iran, and if there is more devastation, there might be a domino effect of that, and it would actually escalate across the whole of Middle East, and there might be potential threat of it towards South Asia also. So I think it is pertinent on part of the global world to come together and to expedite the process of de-escalation, and also try all attempts to bring in peace in that region. Our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji has categorically stated time and again, not only in relation to the Russia-Ukraine war, but also in relation to the Palestine-Israel and now the Israel and Iran war, that this is not an era of conflict or era of war, but it is an era of peace and tranquility. And I think that should be the motto. We have deep-rooted connection with Israel. Israel is our time-tested friend. At the same time, we do have good relation and deep-rooted relationship with Iran also. So I think India can play a pivotal role in peace process, provided it is asked for by both the parties, both by the Iranian establishment as well as by Israel. And India would always be pivotal in bringing lasting peace to Middle East, so that the whole global world also attains a sense of peace and tranquility. I'm little skeptical about the attempt of the President of United States of America and US for bringing in peace and for getting in a kind of a ceasefire. I have said in the past also, President Trump has tried many attempts in bringing ceasefire in areas of turmoil. whether in Russia, Ukraine, and his so-called grand speech in relation to bringing in ceasefire between India and Pakistan, which later on turned out to be questionable, during the time of the Operation Sindoor. And today he has rushed back from G20 back to United States of America with a very pompish kind of an announcement that, he will not only bring in ceasefire, something much bigger than that. Now, what is that bigger than that is something which I think President Trump himself would know. But if I have to use a connotation in relation to the so-called attempt of ceasefire of United States of America, I would rather say this is grease fire and not ceasefire. We do understand what is the philosophy of American foreign policy across the world. We have seen it in the past, whether in Libya, whether in Iraq, whether in Kuwait, or for that matter in Central Asia, and currently in relation to Iran and Israel. I am skeptical about it. But having said that, I think the nuclear program of Iran, as far as all international reports go and the reports of the IAEA, is a clandestine nuclear program, and it seems the fissile material were all smuggled from North Korea as well as from China and Pakistan, and then it was assembled. So in a way, it is not a legitimate nuclear program of the Iranian establishment. So I think time has come to dismantle that.
All right, Ambassador Dayal, so your assessment of the situation here, do you think diplomacy can thrive and strive for peace between these two nations? Something similar has happened in the past as well. Israel and Iran have been at loggerheads in the past as well. But of course, if Iran is developing nuclear weaponry, then it's a direct threat to Israel. They're also justified in defending themselves.
Well, I don't think that at this particular stage, diplomacy will be able to achieve much, because the conflict is moving towards escalation. Mr. Aaron, who is the panelist from Israel on our show, was correct in saying that the Israeli authorities regard the threat from Israel, from Iran, as being an existentialist threat. They are always facing Iranian hostility. I served in Iran in the early 1990s as the deputy to the ambassador, and at that time there used to be a constant charge of death to Israel, and that has continued. Now, if Israel feels that Iranian nuclear weapons would increase the existentialist threat, then it is not without reason, because as it is, Iranian missiles are able to attack Israel. And if these missiles had nuclear warheads, then naturally the danger to Israel would increase several times. It would be an existentialist threat. And that is why, because of the fact that there is such a confrontation between Israel and Iran, given this present state of hostilities, it doesn't seem to me that efforts directed towards finding a diplomatic solution will achieve much. Of course, India has said that both sides must de-escalate. We have said that they must sit down and try to have a dialogue and resolve the problem. We have even offered to mediate. For that matter, the G7 has said that it would be in the interest of everybody to have a ceasefire, and it has called for de-escalation. Of course, it has also said that Israel has a right to defend itself. So, where do we go from here? It seems that in the perception of Israel, Iran is now considerably weakened. The front line of defense for Iran always was its proxies. Now these proxies are considerably weakened. The most important proxy was Hezbollah, but Hezbollah has been weakened to such an extent that it is not willing to take part in the present hostilities. So what happens next? As it is, the Israelis in October last year were able to weaken the military sites because they attacked in October last year these sites and were able to weaken Iran. So it seems that the Israeli perception is that this threat which comes to them from Iran should be knocked out now, and this is a very good opportunity for them. And they are, in fact, also working towards a regime change. So, how things develop from here is open to question, but it seems that at the moment, given the American position, as the previous panelist pointed out, President Trump has left early from the G7 summit. He has asked for a meeting of his security related authorities. He has said that he intends to take some action, and that is not going to be in the context of bringing about peace. But he said, what I want to do is obvious. So, in other words, I think the signs are that there could be some more escalation. Now, let me also add that by itself, Israel doesn't have the power to strike well inside the bunkers which Iran has constructed and inside which its nuclear sites are protected. But the Americans have that power. They have those much bigger missiles, and they have the bombers on which these missiles could be carried. So if the Americans are joining in the conflict, and I don't rule it out at this stage, if they are joining in this conflict, then the threat to Iran is considerably greater than what it has been till now. And I do note the words of President Trump asking people in Tehran to evacuate the city. So as I see it, the position is quite serious, and I don't rule out escalation.
All right. Breaking news coming in. Based on continued analysis of high-resolution satellite imagery collected after Friday's attacks, the IAEA has identified additional elements that indicate direct impacts on the underground enrichment halls at Natanz. No change to report at the Esfahan and Fardo is what we are learning at this point in time. Let me rope in Ehron again. Ehron Levarko is joining us from Israel. Mr. Levarko, you've heard both the other panelists who understand the sensitivity which is associated with, what this war means for Israel and Iran as well. Do you think right before Israel attacked Iran, there were a lot of closed-door meetings in which the Americans also took place. There were other world bodies that also took part, and Iran showed considerable aggression in toning down its nuclear ambitions. Do you think all that was a charade? It was just fakery by the state of Iran?
Well, only the Iranians can answer that, but from a personal point of view, it's pretty obvious that they are masters of delay. They're like the old Iranian, or let me say, they are like the old Persian merchants that go down to the markets and they like to haggle and do a deal. And in my opinion, it's no question that they were buying time. That's one of the reasons why they've been using their proxies, so that the focus will be on Hamas, will be on Hezbollah, will be on the Houthis, and the spotlight off of them. So, in my opinion, no question. And like President Donald Trump said today, he said the Houthis had their chance. I'm sorry, the Iranians had their chance. They should have made the deal. They didn't. Now they are paying a price. Even the IAEA have said that they've crossed every red line. They've broken every rule. The G7 are behind. They see the threat. Everyone understands the threat, but no more than Israel, because we live in the front line of that threat. It's very easy saying, well, we should de-escalate the situation. No, it's too late. We tried to de-escalate the situation. Donald Trump tried. You can question his motives, but he put the issue on the table time and time again. He gave them 60 days. They did not take it. Now, rumor has it that they're trying to bring Donald Trump and the Americans back to the negotiating table. And Donald Trump is saying, sorry, you had your chance. You missed it. By the way, the best way to de-escalate this war? It's simple. Surrender. The Ayatollah Khomeini needs to surrender. He needs to hand over the key to all of his nuclear sites. That's how it's going to de-escalate. And if he doesn't do it, then the other way to de-escalate it, in my opinion, is to blow it up. Now, if other people get involved, that's another story. And of course, we're waiting for other players to get involved. We're waiting to see here in Israel what China are going to do. China, they are provided a lot of oil by the Iranians. They're very upset with this war. Let's see what Russia does. Let's see what Turkey does. This is a bigger picture. And I think Donald Trump is seeing the handwriting on the wall, as Mr. Dayal said. You know, this is not just about the nuclear issue now. This is about the regime change. And it looks like there's going to be a new vacuum created. Big question, who's going to fill in that vacuum? Is it going to be the exiled Shah's son, the prince? Is it going to be a new group of Democrats within the Iranian, from among the Iranian people? Big questions. Donald Trump, he's moving into that vacuum. And maybe one of his goals is that he wants to be the leader of the pack in the Middle East again. That has been weakened. The American presence in the Middle East has been very much weakened over the last number of years. And so lots of questions, like a game of chess. Players are taking their positions, putting pressure here, putting pressure there. Time will tell.
All right, Dr. Datta, time will tell. But the fact of the matter is there are other parties which are supporting Iran at this point in time as well. China and Russia have shown solidarity towards Iran's cause. And of course, so has our belligerent neighbor, Pakistan.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, I do understand that Russia would come in support of Iran, and Russia and Iran have had historic relationship for a long time. We do not have any problem with Russia, having a good, friendship with Iran. That's something which is not very vulnerable for us. It has been there for many years and we are quite okay with it. But our concern is the involvement of China in it and via Pakistan. That is something which is a major concern for us. I also understand that the Hezbollah, the Hamas and the Houthis are a global threat, and they are a global menace. Like we know that before the Operation Sindoor started and the terrible massacre in Pahalgam, prior to that, there was a delegation of Hamas in Islamabad, and in Pak-occupied Kashmir also the delegation of Hamas had visited, and just a couple of days after that was the terrible massacre in Pahalgam. So we do see a kind of a link there, and that is a major concern for us. Yesterday, the defense minister of Iran had very proudly propagated in front of the media that in case if Israel tries to destroy the nuclear establishments in Iran, then Pakistan will be using nuclear bombs against Israel. And I think that is not just a childish kind of a threat or something. There is a lot of meaning in it and a lot of depth in it. And if that kind of a scenario happens, and if that kind of a scenario unfolds, then it is a major concern for India also, because in that scenario there would be a huge flare-up, and that is something which is very, very concerning for us. So therefore I understand that it is a very complex kind of a situation in a chessboard, and in this kind of a complex situation, how to wiggle it out and how to get things sorted out is a major challenge. But what I understand is, like, President Trump alone will not be able to do this, because
hold on to that thought.
Yeah.
We have some breaking news coming in. Sources have told NewsX that there is a rift between gangsters Goldie Brar and Lawrence Bishnoi. Sources have suggested that gangster Goldie Brar and Rohit Godara have now joined hands and claimed responsibility for the Yamuna Nagar shootout. These developments are coming in after Lawrence Bishnoi and Mol Bishnoi's arrest in California in November last year. Javed Hussain, my colleague, is joining us on the broadcast to give us more details about this. Javed, is बात की पुष्टि की जा सकती है? Can we know for sure that there has been a rift between these two best of friends?
जी बिल्कुल, देखिए, टॉप एजेंसी सूत्रों की माने और देश की सुरक्षा एजेंसी की माने तो ये खबर बिल्कुल आ चुकी है कि गोल्डी बरार और लॉरेंस बिश्नोई, इन दोनों बड़े गैंगस्टर्स के बीच में कहीं ना कहीं टकरार हो चुका है। और जो अभी हाल में ही यमुनानगर में जिस तरह से शूट आउट हुआ था, और उसके बाद जिस तरीके से पोस्ट में, जहां पहले गोगी गैंग और लॉरेंस गैंग, अनमोल गैंग और काला जटेरी गैंग, ऐसे तमाम गैंगस्टर्स हैशटैग करके ये गैंगस्टर्स अपने सोशल मीडिया प्लेटफॉर्म पर लोगों को इंडिकेट करते थे कि इस बड़े जो मर्डर है या जो बड़ी वारदात है वो हम लोगों ने किया है। लेकिन बीते कुछ दिनों से जिस तरीके से सोशल मीडिया पोस्ट पे रोहित गोदारा ने, जिस से लॉरेंस का नाम नहीं है उसमें, अनमोल का नहीं है, और कहीं ना कहीं और कुछ पोस्ट में गोल्डी बरार का नाम नहीं है, इससे एजेंसी सूत्रों के हवाले से यही खबर है कि दोनों गैंग में कहीं ना कहीं अब आपस में टकरार हो गया। जो एक वक्त में जहां पे लॉरेंस की जो क्राइम की जो शुरुआत हुई थी वो गोल्डी बरार के ही भाई के मर्डर को लेकर हुआ था। उसके भाई के बदले में उसने बम्बिया गैंग के कुछ गैंगस्टर्स को मारा था। उसके बाद से इन दोनों की दोस्ती हुई थी। गोल्डी बरार इस वक्त है कनाडा के की जगह अब इस वक्त यूएस में है। लॉरेंस बिश्नोई इस वक्त साबरमती जेल में है। अनमोल बिश्नोई इस वक्त कैलिफोर्निया जेल में है। वहीं रोहित गोदारा का जो लोकेशन है वो बताया गया है कि अजरबैजान या पुर्तगाल में ये गैंगस्टर्स है। जिस तरीके से दोनों गैंगस्टर्स के बीच में कहीं ना कहीं आपसी टकरार और अब अलग होने की बात सामने आ रही है। एजेंसी, सेंट्रल इन्वेस्टिगेशन एजेंसी की बात करें देश की, या देश की खुफिया एजेंसी की बात करें, तो पूरी तरीके से अलर्ट है कि अब जो लॉरेंस और गोल्डी बरार के गैंग को कौन लीड करेगा। लेकिन उससे भी बड़ी बात यह है विनीत कि देखिए, दिल्ली से लेकर विदेशों तक, यानी कि जिस तरीके से दिल्ली में गोगी गैंग है, ताजपुरिया गैंग है जो एक दूसरे के जानी दुश्मन है, गोगी गैंग कहीं ना कहीं लॉरेंस से जुड़ा हुआ है, हाशिम बाबा गैंग लॉरेंस से जुड़ा हुआ है, काला जटेरी जो कि इस वक्त जेल में बंद है, उसके बारे में भी जानकारी मिल रही कि कहीं ना कहीं वो रोहित गोदारा की तरफ जा सकता है, क्योंकि रोहित गोदारा की कुछ पोस्ट पे काला जटेरी का भी नाम उसमें शामिल है। और जिस तरीके से गोल्डी बरार और बाकी गैंगस्टर्स के बारे में ये पता चला है कि लॉरेंस के बढ़ते नाम और लॉरेंस के बढ़ते कद को लेकर जो है आपसी कहीं ना कहीं कुछ गैंगस्टर्स में ये बात सामने आई थी कि सारे क्राइम वारदात या क्राइम ऑपरेट को हम लोग इस्तेमाल करते हैं लेकिन नाम लॉरेंस का होता है। तो कहीं ना कहीं लॉरेंस की बढ़ती पॉपुलैरिटी और लॉरेंस के बढ़ते नाम को लेकर जो गैंगस्टर्स है उनके बीच ऐसी बात सामने आई है। और कहीं ना कहीं गोल्डी बरार जो है वो लॉरेंस को लेकर कहीं ना कहीं उसके मन में कहीं ना कहीं दरार आ गया। जो
जावेद, इस जानकारी के लिए हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। आई वुड लाइक टू थैंक माय गेस्ट आल्सो हु जॉइंड अस, टुक आउट टाइम टू स्पीक देयर माइंड्स ऑन दिस इंपॉर्टेंट पर्सपेक्टिव। वी टेक अ शॉर्ट ब्रेक, बी राइट बैक।